Welcome to the Lawson Show. And today I have a special guest, a returning guest from the old days, Sean Smith. He's a Miami Dolphins fan. Also, he's known to gamble quite a bit. So welcome to the show, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, what's going on, Lawson? I had, it was nice being on the show a couple of years ago. It's good to be back. Talk some Dolphin football, and I'll let you start it off and see.
Well, I mean, we're certainly in a better place than when we talked, what was it, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I mean, at least the Dolphins are actually making some sort of progress.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so for me, when I look at the Dolphins, I really liked everything they did in terms of accumulating resources. And when I was watching the games, yes, the defense was getting shredded, but I was actually enjoying a lot of the schemes I was seeing from Brian Flores. And so then we entered this offseason. I don't know if I've ever seen a team with more draft capital. Maybe the Raiders a few years ago this year had as much, but very few teams had as much capital with cap space as the Miami Dolphins. And then I saw signings like Jordan Howard and Kyle Van Noy, and I just kind of got a little bit more pessimistic about it because it's one thing to have lots of resources. There's another thing to settle. And then we're going to talk plenty about Tua, but this offseason did rub me the wrong way. And I want to make something clear to everyone. I think if Ryan Fitzpatrick starts all 16 games, I truly believe the Dolphins will compete for a playoff spot. But who knows if that's realistic, him starting. So I'll just send it over to Sean.
I'm sorry, I'm losing you, John, a little bit.
Oh, you're losing me?
A little bit, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, technology, you know how that goes. Yeah. Graham 25. Hell yeah, after a long day, nice to kick back and finally relax and talk some football. Okay, Sean, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so pretty much what I said was I didn't like this Dolphins offseason, even with all the draft capital they had. And I was actually a little bit disappointed by it, with two signing it in particular, like Van Noy and Howard. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I like the pickups they had too. They picked up Byron Jones, Kyle Van Noy, Daniel Alba, Shaq Lawson. They picked up a couple offensive linemen as well. So yeah, basically, I feel like they're building their trenches, and then, if they can rush the passer and then cover in the back end on the defense, that's kind of what the Patriots always done, and that's kind of where he's getting that from as well.
Didn't you raise a little bit of an eyebrow though when they signed Jordan Howard and Kyle Van Noy?
Yeah, I think he got Kyle Van Noy more because he knows the exact system that he's trying to run, and he could show the younger players exactly and where to be, where to line up, kind of be a coach on the field for him as on for the Dolphins, because he knows Flores' system like the back of his hand. He just ran it in New England for so many years.
Well, and like listen, and I understand Kyle Van Noy. I understand he's a smart guy, but when I was looking at the Dolphins, especially on the defensive side of the football, first thing I was hoping for was a pass rusher. I don't understand why they weren't in the Clowney sweepstakes. I understand that he only plays 4 or 5 games a year, but eventually you need to add a pass rusher. And then the thing with Van Noy that bothers me is, come on, how elite is he? Is he even a top 5 linebacker in this league? He's certainly going to be paid like it. And then when I'm looking at this defense, I'm just seeing a clear just lack of speed. So you can't hate the Kyle Van Noy signing too much, but it was just one of those ones where I was like, damn, man, I was expecting more.
Yeah, Yeah, Kyle Van Noy, I believe that's the only reason why he signed him. Really was he's got a little bit left in the tank, and then he's going to be able to help the younger players that was drafted and signed. And then we had Wilkins from last year, the defensive tackle. This is going to be his second year. He played very well for us last year, so it's going to be nice to see him kind of get into that role of taking a leadership role on the defensive line as well. And then Shaq Lawson, still a young player. He's going to be a good little pass rusher. He's able to play both defensive and positions, so he's going to be able to move around a little bit. And then we got Emmanuel Ogbah from the Chiefs. He was injured, I believe.
Can play. Ogbah can play.
He was injured, I believe, midway through the season, and then when he was leading the team in sacks and everything, before he was injured, so he was a good pickup for us as well.
But who's going to provide
I believe
the
that's what it's going to be. It's going to be putting pressure on the quarterback and being able to cover in the back end, and we have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard basically can just man up one-on-one with their 1 and 2s. And then, safety, I feel like we have Eric Rowe. He played well later on in the season. So hopefully he can continue that, because I feel like he had a slow start last year. And he got burnt, and he was killing us the first half of the season. And then the second half, when we started having that run, he came on and played very well for us at the end of the season.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to just keep coming back to my thing of lack of team speed, but that really is the Patriot way. They're always the 32nd out of 32nd team in terms of team speed in the league. I mean, I like the Byron Jones pickup. I like the Shaq Lawson. Ogbah can play, like you said. I just want a speed rusher. But if you're saying they're going to play like Bill Belichick and they're saying just screw it, we're not going to have a traditional speed rusher, I guess that's what you get. But unfortunately, one thing we saw last year, to get any sort of pressure, Flores had to send a ton of blitzers, an absolute ton of blitzers, just to even get a little sniff of the quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think we do lack some speed up front. That Jason Taylor and that Cameron Wake, where they can just come around the corner and really just disrupt a quarterback. I think we are missing that. I think it's more going to be a scheme and power rushing is what it's going to be, especially having, I would always send 5. I would always send 5. I mean, that's just kind of how I would. I want to have a one-on-one. I mean, someone's got to win,
I like that.
I feel like it's going to be hard for people to get open. We have 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league, and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. And then I think last year for us, I mean, we couldn't stop the run.
You couldn't.
We couldn't stop the run, and that's what you have to do. I mean, it's the same as it always is. You want to make a team one-dimensional. You want to be able to stop the run. You want to make them force them to throw the football and know they're going to throw the football. That means you can't be down by 21 points by halftime, because that's all they're going to do. They're just going to come on the field and run the football down your throat, and then you can't stop it. And then for me as a Dolphin fan, that's hard to watch. It's hard to watch your team just get manhandled, and there's nothing they can do. You know they're going to run the football. They could tell Coach Flores, hey, I'm going to run the football, but we didn't have the talent. Not that he didn't have the plays or whatever. I mean, apparently later on down the season, you saw that he's able to call plays and have and these players he had would have ran through a brick wall for him, with the way they've played, and they never quit. I mean, that's one thing I can say about last year. Those players never quit on Coach Flores. They believe in him. They fought for him. They would have ran through a brick wall if he asked them to. So that's a big thing for me as well.
I completely agree. And I do. Now we can get to the main thing we want to talk about, because I think a big part of that team chemistry last year, and a big reason why that team went on the run in the second half of the season, was Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now you bring in Tua, and you can say what you will about the draft pick. Most people are praising it, saying it's borderline genius. I don't know if I'd go that far, but if you gave me Fitzpatrick for a full 16 games throwing to Devante Parker, it would be hard for me to say the Dolphins couldn't get 8 or 9 wins. And that's due to Flores and his schemes on defense. I do think the defense isn't good enough still. I don't think it's going to be like a top 15 unit, for instance. But this offense was dynamic last year. And could you imagine if Fitzpatrick just had a good running game? What would happen with that?
Yeah, I mean, Fitzpatrick was our leading rusher last year. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. He was the Dolphins' leading rusher. So,
That's
I mean,
good.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at that. You just answered your own question. And then we had that trade with the Niners and picked up, what was that running back we picked up in the second round of the draft?
Matt Breida. I'm excited about Breida.
So he's going to be a fast, quick play type play for him as well. And then, of course, you said Jordan Howard. I mean, he's more of a between the tackles type. Hopefully he's got some left in the tank. I guess we'll see. I think it was more or less of them just picking up somebody just to come in and help out. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if Fitzpatrick can play all 16 games, I like our chances, because just like I said, how the team played hard for Coach Flores, the offense played just as hard for Ryan Fitzpatrick. The moment he stepped on the field in that Washington Redskin game, and came and brought them back and helped the team fight to come back. And they almost won that game. I know they went for 2 and they didn't get it. But, I mean, they trust in him. They believe in him. So for of course, picked up Tua in the first round, 5th overall. If you don't just bring in Tua and just throw him in over Fitzpatrick after what he did for this team and for these players last year. You just don't. I don't think you would do something like that. I feel like if there's a year not to put a young quarterback in the fire, it's this year.
Yeah.
With all the coronavirus going on, he's going to have lack of preparation, lack of snaps. He's going to have so many things that's going to just set him back. Because you know how it is, John. Like, you have to have repetition, you have to have practice, you have to have, especially if you're a rookie, you have to have these things. It's clockwork. You have to see it. You have to be on the field. You have to, but they're not doing that right now.
Yeah,
he's so far behind. It's not even funny. I mean, it's not just him. It's every rookie in the NFL at this point. I mean, nobody's getting anything.
Well, as someone who likes Fitzpatrick's work and how hard he plays the game, I'm really happy to hear this situation. You're right. And Tua also has a big learning curve, because that Alabama system is going to be a lot different. And then thank you guys in the live chat, because they actually have a question for you. So do you trust this offensive line? Let's say you wanted to start Tua day one, hypothetically. Do you trust this offensive line and run game enough where it could at least assist him so he doesn't get slaughtered?
I don't. I mean, that's one thing that you're going to have to see too. I mean, there's no way that you put Tua in there day one, say, here you go, this is your team, here's the football, go, let's see what happens. There's no way. Like, you have to see how this offensive line is going to be forfeit. I mean, Fitzpatrick ran for his life last year and still did a good job. I mean, still did way beyond what I thought he was going to do, as far as passing the football, leading the team, and also running the football. So you have to see how this offensive line is going to gel before you even think about, before it even clicks in your head about putting Tua behind there and start with this team. But I mean, my opinion, I don't care what happens. I don't care if Fitzpatrick gets hurt. I don't care what happens. I'm not putting Tua back there this year. I'm sitting him the full year. I'm having the mindset that he is not going to touch the field no matter what. You're going to study. You're going to get healthy. You're going to be with our medical staff. You're going to do a lot of reps and practice. I'm going to have a coach living with you at this point. right in the next room. I mean, that's how funny it's going to be. Like, you are going to know this playbook like the back of your hand next year. I would say next year, maybe get a few more offensive linemen, maybe see what you need as far as his protection. And then Fitzpatrick's probably going to be done next year. And then I would hand Tua the football and say, here's the keys to the Cadillac. This is your team.
Well, and
this is your offense.
Well, the one thing I would say about that is I want to just see Fitzpatrick guaranteed the first 10 games, because there is going to be fan pressure, because Tua doesn't come in like a Herbert. Tua comes in with a reputation. So the fans are going to apply a little bit of pressure for him, especially if things aren't going well. Honestly, here's what I want. I just want Flores to say we're rounding with Fitzpatrick these first 10 games. Maybe once we get to the last 6 weeks, we can reevaluate the situation.
Mm-hmm. And then I know your thoughts on Josh Rosen already.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting. I don't want to toot my own horn and say remind people that I was right, but could I have been more right about that? And my goodness, why did people keep using the argument instead of talking about how the man throws the football or how he approaches football? People kept talking about the Dolphins stole him for a second round pick. I agree with you, though. If things get ugly, Fitzpatrick gets hurt. Sometimes that does happen with Fitzpatrick, especially with how much hits he takes. I think Josh Rosen should be thrown out there as a sacrificial lamb until they get too up to speed. But also, Dolphins fans don't need to see too much of that, because that is just sickening stuff watching him.
Yeah, we had the only argument I have for Rosen is I'm sure you read the article about our old offensive coordinator getting fired, Coach Shea. He was fired, and basically Fitzpatrick was part of that. Fitzpatrick was part of getting him fired because his offense was too complex. Nobody could pick it up. It came from the Patriots tree over to Miami. You have young players, and a lot of people, they couldn't pick up the offense.
And you got to let
they
people
couldn't pick up what he was teaching. So then you throw Rosen in there after going. I mean, I think Rosen came in later. After the draft, of course, he got brought in. So basically trying to get him up to speed. So the only argument I would have for Rosen is didn't have enough time to pick up the offense. The offense would be too complex for him to. I mean, Fitzpatrick's a Harvard graduate. I mean, he can pick up. I mean, I don't care what offense you throw at him, he's going to be able to pick it up and run it like the back of his hand. So the only argument I have for maybe Rosen was maybe the offense was too complex, and he just couldn't pick it up. He couldn't take it all in right away.
Honestly, if this is a life or death situation, Josh Rosen has it or not, what's your answer? If your life's depending on it, come on now.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, if my life is on it, I know what I've seen. I mean, I can't really, I know I'm a Dolphin fan, and I should be all praises, but I mean, I'm glad we got him. I mean, do I think he's a solid backup? Yeah, I think, if Fitzpatrick, God forbid, something happens and he does go down, and if our mindset as an organization is, hey, Tua, I just want you to take a deep breath. Basically, you don't have so much pressure on you right now. As a rookie, if you're a coach and you can tell him, hey, look, just relax, take a deep breath, no pressure. Just get healthy, read the playbook, let's get caught up to speed. We have plenty of players that we're able to put in and fill in, that there's no pressure for you to hit the field this year. I mean, I feel like for him, that would probably be good for him to feel that way, because he's probably had more pressure than anybody in the draft this year with his injury and not knowing where he was going to go and all of that.
Well, and the player I like the most on this team is Devante Parker. And that's why I'm so gung-ho about Fitzpatrick starting, because I just want to watch that combination again. And I'm not a big stat guy, but this was a stat that made sense to me, that was actually relevant to some of the stuff I was seeing. Fitzpatrick was a top 3 passer when he was under pressure. I actually think he was the best in the league. And that says a lot about a guy, but also it says a lot about Devante Parker, because I don't know if there was a more dominant receiver outside of Michael Thomas last year. That, like, seriously, that's how good Devante Parker was. And it's not like he had a great run game. It's not like he had 2 other alphas on the outside eating.
Yeah, I mean, play action pass was non-existent. No one even cared that, you know. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Don, that's what Miami Dolphin fans thought we were going to get day one with Devante Parker. And then, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, I will go ahead and I will bite the bullet. I gave up on him. I was like, you know what? Like, don't give him this 5th-year option, man. Let's just move away from that, because every year I feel like it was just a disappointment. Every year it was like, you know, oh, here we go. This is going to be the year. He's finally going to. This is what, because I'm sure a lot of people don't watch Dolphin games, but I watch pretty much every single one. So, but I've seen glimpses of him in previous years doing stuff like this, and you know he can. But I feel like maybe Fitzpatrick has that. He just makes people feel confident. He makes people, the way he plays, the way, you know, when you're a quarterback and you run for 10 yards and you put your shoulder down to pick up a first down. I mean, I've played football my whole life too. Like dude, if my quarterback was doing that, I'm doing everything I can for this man. And it showed that on the field. It showed that on the field with the receivers, with the tight ends, with the running back. I mean, everybody. And then it leaks over to the defense as well. That's the way Miami played last year. Well, and it starts with Fitzpatrick.
It does, and you're right. You noticed him running over linebackers and stuff, which is crazy. And then, and you're 100% right. He instills a lot of confidence. I remember when he was with the Bills, like Stevie Johnson actually ended up making a Pro Bowl because he had the same sort of connection, and he'll just throw it up. He's not afraid to throw it, and that's one thing that you know, you can say a lot about these quarterbacks. Like you could say even Rosen has a better arm, but eventually you have to throw this ball in the tight spaces and not have fear. And that's one thing Fitzpatrick has. And I'm glad you noticed his leadership, because you're right. A lot of people probably didn't watch the Dolphins last year, but that second half of the season, they had some really good games like that game, the game against Cincinnati, that game against the Redskins, that game against the Eagles. Those were great games.
And then, of course, my favorite game is when we beat the Patriots the last week of the season. That's my favorite.
It's always beautiful.
Just to go ahead and put that out there. But yeah, I mean, then on the other hand, we have Preston Williams. He got hurt last year, I believe, in was it the first Jets game he got injured? But he's a big Devante Parker type receiver as well. He's able to get up and go get it. You know, and I feel like Fitzpatrick had confidence in him as well. And he had confidence as a rookie too. And then we have Mike Gesicki showed up quite a bit last year as well, making big catches and getting open. That's kind of what I thought so I feel like Fitzpatrick just brings the best out of everybody he has on the field. You know, and he's not afraid to, and you're right, he's not afraid to throw it. Like Devante Parker, if you're any receiver on the field, you have to be ready. Even if you're the third, fourth option, you have to be prepared. It might be coming because he doesn't have much time. If you watched last year, it was basically a 1, 2, 3, and it has to be gone, or you're going to get ear hold. It had to be gone.
And that's a lesson to Josh Rosen. It's a lesson to him, because that's how you have to play this game. You're not always going to get a good offensive line, and believe it or not, there's probably only like 7 or 8 legit good offensive lines in the league at this point.
So, I mean, you know, so I think my expectations this year, like you said, if Fitzpatrick starts all 16 games, if somebody says, Sean, Fitzpatrick is going to start for your team all 16 games, I mean, I do think we do have a shot at making like a wild card for the playoffs.
I agree.
I feel like we do.
Because you're going to.
If somebody tells me that he doesn't, or Rosen comes in, or then I'm going to say we're probably going to be more of a 7-9 and 8-8 type of team.
Yeah, I would go towards 6 wins. But if you gave me the deal of 16 games of Fitzpatrick in that division that's vulnerable right now, that's anyone's division, it might, the Dolphins actually could win it. And Like, what do you think of the Bills and the Patriots? Like, because when I looked at them, you bring in Cam Newton, that's kind of like a Hail Mary at best.
Yeah,
At
that did change. That changed the chemistry in that division quite a bit, bringing in Cam. So I feel like he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. So does Belichick. I feel like if you'd asked me before Cam was signed, I would have given the keys to the Bills. I would have thought the Bills would have taken the division this year.
Same here.
But I do feel like now, with Cam signing with the Patriots, it is going to be more of a dogfight. I think it's going to be either the Patriots and Bills on the top, and then it's going to be Miami, and then it's going to be the Jets. I feel like the Jets. Trust me, I know what Adam Gase can do to an organization, and I've seen it, and he's doing it now again with the Jets. I mean, he's not able to talk with players. He doesn't.
No.
Players don't respect him. So I see what the Jets are doing, and I it's deja vu for me watching him do that to Miami. When he got rid of Jarvis Landry, when he got rid of, there's so many players he got rid of that, I was like shaking my head, like how do you get rid of somebody like that?
And he doesn't get the best out of guys. I got a question for you from Jay Orion in the chat. Can you ask Sean to rank the quarterbacks in the AFC East? That's tough because you don't necessarily know what Cam's
I'm going to say. I'm gonna have to go with Cam. I mean, Cam's gonna have to be number one at this point. Seeing he's been to a Super Bowl, he's had MVPs, he's got to be number one. I mean, and then I like Allen for Buffalo, but I just feel like he's just inaccurate. I feel like his accuracy is lacking quite a bit. I'm going to have to go Fitzpatrick too. I mean, if you ask me who I want to pick, I'm going to say Cam. I'd say Fitzpatrick 2. I would say Allen 3, and then Darnold 4.
Yeah, I would agree. That would be
my pick.
And because about Sam Darnold, you already mentioned why he's number 4, because that's just a terrible situation. I can find ways to defend him, but I've never been that high on him, although I think he's shown some flashes. But you're right, he's just in a terrible situation, and Adam Gase doesn't make anyone better. And his claim to fame was being Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator in Denver when he absolutely called 0 plays.
Exactly. And here's my thing. If you're a head coach, you're a head coach of a football team, but all you do is run the offense, are you really a head coach?
Not really, no.
Basically, all he's doing is telling Williams, hey, that's your side, stay over there.
And they can't even get along.
And that's the thing too. Like that's why I'm so glad that we do have Flores. And I know Flores was more on a defensive aspect, but he is on offense. He is doing, you play. If you're a head coach, you should have a defensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator, and you should know enough of both to be able to say, yeah, I like your game plan, or oh, hey, you know what, I'd rather you do this or tweak it this way or whatever it is that you want to do. He's one side of the football, and that's what irritated me so much in Miami was, and then you weren't even doing that great of a job calling plays. I mean. Yeah. I find Adam 4th and 1 against the Colts to win the game, and you passed the ball and then got sacked. I mean, it was just terrible.
Yeah,
terrible football.
Well,
that's why I would rank it as far as quarterbacks in the AFC East.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at this, I feel like Buffalo has the best overall roster, but I don't know if that really makes that big a difference. And the Patriots or Cam Newton, there's question marks there, and they still have no one to throw to. I would prefer my guy Gesicki and Devante Parker. And then with the Bills, Josh Allen is inaccurate like Cam Newton. They're both really inaccurate. And there's tons of punts. That's one thing you're going to get with both of them. And then, so it would actually be hard for me not to take Fitzpatrick, although you don't want to get burned and have Cam Newton come back here healthy and make you look like an idiot. So,
yeah, I mean, Cam Newton. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm not sure how Cam Newton's going to be, but I mean, from what I see him working out and whatnot, I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, and then Yeah, we were breaking up a little bit. So, but I heard
Okay.
what you.
Sorry about that.
And then we're going to take some viewer questions before we leave. I just want to say, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. So are you anticipating we're going to get a Rosen and some Tua starts in here? I actually think we lost Sean. I think we lost Sean. Okay, so anyways, I want to thank Sean for coming on. I want to say subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos. I will have more videos coming this week.